pull up a chair. This is Off the Back Porch. Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer is brought to you in part by Country Village Sporting Goods. Everything you need to get in the woods, the water, or to the camp is at Country Village Sporting Goods. Jason Hardy State Farm. Like a good neighbor, Jason Hardy at State Farm is there. And Larry's Pizza in El Dorado, home of the Double Pizza Parade.
20 plus years of bringing you the most important and latest information with local happenings, news, sports, opinions, and probably an attempt at humor. Also brought to you in part by Davis Farms Country Market. For farm to table fresh, it's Davis Farms Country Market. Cook's Body Shop. Chances are it will happen. And when it does, look to Cook's. Murphy Arts District. For the latest information on concerts and events, go to eldomad.com.
Recorded live from Main Street Pizza in historic, beautiful downtown El Dorado, Arkansas. With a history of being the voices you trust. This is Off the Back Porch with Boomer and Sandy. Or Sandy and Boomer. Or two old guys you've known for a long time, whatever. And now your hosts, Troy, Boomer, Barrios, and B.A. Sandy Sanford.
Hey, welcome again for another edition of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer. And sitting here to my physical left and my political right is Boomer.
That's me.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're really on my political right, but you are really on my physical left.
Man, if I'm on your political right, I'm way over there. Hey, have I incurred any credit card bills this week or anything? Charges anywhere downtown?
That I need to know of.
I mean, that I might need to know of.
Yeah, you have.
Is it going to be coming through here for too long? I mean, is it, like under five figures or?
Oh, yeah.
High four?
No. Just
threes?
Threes, yeah.
Okay, well, I can handle threes.
Yeah. So
I say I can.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. I now have permission to spend up to $999 of Boomer's money.
And not be a felon.
That's right. That's
if
still
you live
a misdemeanor.
in California. Yeah.
That's still a misdemeanor. So, here we are at our favorite place where the locals eat, and that is Main Street Pizza in beautiful and historic downtown El Dorado, Arkansas. And Boomer, I see you have peanuts.
Yeah,
I forgot they had peanuts, and you asked about them all ago.
Well, and they still have them. And, when we went through COVID, they kind of, did away with a lot of stuff. Stuff you see on tables at restaurants just doesn't exist anymore. You have to ask for it. So I asked for the peanuts and check it out, nice little glasses and cups. And got one for that. And we used to just throw them on the floor. Remember when Donnie first started?
Yeah, and which I never thought was safe.
Why?
Well, I just think that people will slip and fall.
A slip and a fall.
A slip and fall.
You know what you fella get for a slip and a fall?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if you get you a couple of doctors on the back end who will make up some x-rays. Not that I've ever been involved in anything of the nature.
No, that's insurance fraud, but you go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, well, again, we welcome you to this week's edition of Off the Back Porch. We're excited and happy to have you here with us. And so, Boomer, am I interrupting you?
No, go ahead. I'm just having peanuts. Go ahead. Tell you I want some peanuts.
Yeah, but you also said, I'm not hungry.
No, this is not hunger. This is just salt intake.
Oh, okay. You just need some salt.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, Boomer, I have a story here for you, and thought we'd do a couple stories called True or False.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah. So these are stories that either have happened or could have happened.
Could very well have happened.
And I'll just read you the story. You tell me what you think. And I'll tell you my initial thought on it before I read the result.
So you have the down low on it. You really know if they're true or false.
Yes, I do.
All right.
This one is a 17-year-old high school student in Dayton, Ohio, has been fined and placed under house arrest after authorities discovered he had hacked into the city's outdated traffic control system and quietly fixed the timing of several major intersections. Cameron Price, a self-taught coder and robotics club member, reportedly used a Raspberry Pi, a decommissioned school-issued Chromebook, to gain access to the municipal traffic grid. Over the course of several weeks, he rewrote the timing logic for at least 5 major lights along West 3rd Street, drastically reducing backups during rush hour and syncing green lights to reduce stop-and-go congestion. Quote, he didn't disable anything or cause danger, said a traffic engineer speaking on a condition of anonymity. Honestly, his code was more efficient than what we've been using. But city officials said the changes violated multiple laws, including unauthorized access to the government system, interfering with public infrastructure. He was cited under local ordinances pertaining to unauthorized modification of municipal services, blah, blah, blah.
And given a job.
And misdemeanor. According to Cameron's parents, he initially took it on as a side project after watching his bus get stuck at the same broken intersection every morning for weeks. It would take longer to go 3 blocks than it did to get across town, his mom explained. He got tired of watching everyone waste time and gas just sitting there. Public reaction has been overwhelming in Cameron's favor. A video of the intersection running smoother than it has in years has gone viral, and petitions calling for the fine to be dropped have already surpassed 50,000 signatures. Quote, honestly, give the kid a job, one commenter wrote. Quote, he's doing more for the city than whoever programmed those lights in 1998.
On a floppy disk.
Yeah.
So just by the length of the story and the good nature of it, I say that's true.
Yeah, that was my initial thought as well. And so I looked it up, and it is 100% false.
No kidding.
It is 100%
Well,
false.
they went a long way to
They
get to
really
false.
did. They really did. So
So let me. Did you look up what a Raspberry Pi is? I mean, I know.
Yeah, it's a device. It's a handheld device, much like an iPhone or an Android phone, and it was just made by a different company.
Okay. So they went all that way just to tell a lie?
Yeah, and it became a Facebook post that went viral.
And they had 50,000 people. Actually, did that happen? I
No,
wonder?
well, the actual Facebook post had like 3.6 million shares. Some astronomical number. But
And he made 11 cents.
yeah, right. Yeah, been there, done that. Actually, I made $11.
Really?
Yeah, from Facebook one time. Thank you. I made $11 for our election coverage.
How many hits was it?
I don't remember now. But the thing is Facebook was not going to send you $11. You have to get to 100, and then they'll send you 100.
Yeah.
And so,
does it accumulate?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, there's no interest.
No. I mean, just accumulate. I understand.
Yeah.
Draws interest.
Yeah. So, if I do something else that gets
That
me another
$20-something.
$11.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
where are you at now?
I'm at $11.
Oh!
Since November of last year, I'm at $11.
Okay. I was about to ask what year that was. I thought it was maybe the 80s or something.
Yeah. So, no, evidently the story is false. The video that purports of the traffic intersection going smoothly, the story says it was on West 3rd Street. The video shows North 5th Street.
Oh, okay. See, they just
AI-generated video.
Yeah. They didn't get to the nitty-gritty of what they had to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, AI is not going to... That's the thing, is lots of stuff in AI you can spot because it'll be just a little... The details aren't there.
You see someone walking and their hip doesn't move right or something.
Right, yeah. So that one has been deemed false. I have another one for you, though.
Okay.
And this one has to
I'm
do...
0 for 1.
Yeah, well, I was as well. This is another true or false. As part of President Trump's new big, beautiful bill...
Yeah.
You won't be allowed to keep your parents home after they pass away if they owe the IRS, starting in 2026. A new federal inheritance regulation will give the government the right to seize real estate assets if certain conditions aren't met. According to a March 2025 report from the U.S. Treasury Department, heirs who cannot immediately pay past due taxes and transfer taxes and meet updated ownership compliance rules may lose legal rights to inherited homes. This law is part of the National Housing Reform Act and aims to increase housing availability by reclaiming underused or unpaid properties. In practice, this means that if your parents pass away and you can't afford the new fees or you don't move into the home immediately, the state can legally take the house and list it for public sale.
Well, this comes with an explanation in that I don't think that the Republicans would write something like that. That would seem like something more from the left.
That would be more of a big government issue, you would think. And
but otherwise, I think it's true.
I did originally think it was true when I was reading it.
What fooled you?
Well, because it starts off with as part of President Trump's new big beautiful bill, but then the law that it cites is the National Housing Reform Act.
Well, that wasn't part of the big beautiful bill,
right?
See,
and that's what
I should have went with my first gut
because
feeling.
I remember the National Housing Reform Act was in 2017 in Trump's first term, and
it didn't pass.
I think it did.
Did it?
Yeah, but it doesn't say this. That was just somebody, using some buzzwords in there to try to give it more credibility.
So I'm 0 for 2.
Absolutely false. It is absolutely false. Yeah. And I would say I was 0 for 2 as well.
Were you?
Yeah. I had my doubts about because it, like I said, it mentioned 2 different bills. But I was like, well, you never know.
Yeah. See, I didn't recognize that other bill. The second one mentioned the National Reform Act. But so anyway.
Yeah. Well.
Okay.
God bless my dad. I think you know this, and anyone who's known me for more than a few minutes knows I loved my dad as much as I loved anyone who walked. He was my best friend.
Yeah.
And he was always my coach, my mentor. I never had a time in life where I thought I know better than him. I never had a rebellious time. Period against my dad. Mainly because he was, for many years, was the only parent I had. So it was like, it's this or nothing. Now,
where's your mama? We don't know. That whole act.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was kind of, but anyway. But I love my dad, and Daddy made a lot of money in his life. Yeah, he made a lot of money. Now, unfortunately, it was cyclical with the oil business.
Yeah.
So like in the early to mid 80s, it was tough. I mean, there were times where we went without electricity more than we had it.
Yeah.
And
the company I worked for took a huge downfall in about 81, 82.
Yeah, I think it was 83 for us.
Yeah.
And it was not good. But 83 to about 85 was some pretty tough years.
Yeah.
And but later, Daddy, as the oil business did better. Oh man, he did great, made great money, and he was never good with money.
Oh no,
he was never good with it. He couldn't save money to save his life.
He was too generous, perhaps.
And he was just not frugal. He didn't save. He didn't shop for the best deal. He just kind of, if that's what he wanted, that's what he
needed, wasn't you?
And I'd give a large part of that because he was single. He didn't have someone else over there saying maybe we need to stop and think about this. And so if he wanted a tractor, he just bought it. If he wanted a boat, he just bought it.
Yeah.
And that's just how Daddy was. The problem was when he retired, he kept living that way.
Oh yeah.
Although he had no income.
Yeah.
And he did what a lot of people hope to do. He wrote his last $21 into the casket. He had $21 to his name the day he died. Yep, $21.
Well, that's the ultimate thing that a lot of people. In fact, I was talking to a friend this morning, and I said, I'm not going to mention his name. I said, when are you going to stop? He said, man, I can't. He said, but I tell you what. He said, what we have saved and what we think about we're saving, and he's older than me. He said, if we decide we want to get something now, we're just going to get it. He said, the kids, they all make more money than we do. His kids do, as well as mine do. And he said, I hope it just all kind of apexes at the same time. I said, yeah, but what if it don't?
Yeah.
What if you're indigent and you done spent that last $21?
That's true.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, and then to me, there's also a biblical principle, and that is that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not sure I'm ever going to be able to do that.
Yeah,
but I'm going to try.
Me either.
I'm going to try. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we have more of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer right after this.
This is a nightmare.
Someone call for a nightmare?
Hang on. That's your nightmare? Some roof damage? I'm a professional. I deal with real nightmares. You just need to sing the State Farm jingle.
State Farm jingle?
Do it!
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm can help with your claim. We're here when you need us.
Great. Can you get rid of it?
Ooh, we getting rid of. Wait.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Fresh, local, and full of flavor at Davis Farms Country Market. Come by Davis Farms Country Market right now while the getting's good. Fresh green beans, Ruston peaches, Arkansas tomatoes, peppers galore, potatoes, and more. Straight from the farm to your table. Get the good stuff while it lasts at Davis Farms Country Market. Locally grown and universally loved. Davis Farms Country Market. 4523 Junction City Highway. Or call 870-639-1323.
Hey, welcome back for more of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer. And Boomer, we have yet again found a willing, complicit participant
Yes.
who is willing to put their entire reputation on the line.
And sit amongst us.
Spent his entire life making a good name for himself, making his family proud, and then he comes on this show.
On a Wednesday.
There you go. We have with us today is Alan Tyson. Alan, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, guys. Thank you guys for having me.
I have to admit, I've only seen you maybe a couple, 3 times since the last time I called a baseball game you were playing in.
Yeah, that's been a little bit ago. So.
It has. So what's happening in life? I mean, so since high school, what happened with you?
Man, just kind of a whirlwind of stuff for me and my family. We moved to Northwest Arkansas probably right after college and spent 5 years or so, had a couple kids, realized that grandparents were a little bit more important than Northwest Arkansas was. So we decided to move back home. And we missed home, too. I had several conversations with my wife about just missing buddies and wanting to get back around friends and family and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the thing about Northwest Arkansas that people don't tell you is it's a lot of transplant people that aren't from there.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes they're the same way. They want to move back to wherever they came from.
Yeah, they're there because they need to be there. Yeah.
That's right. They're trying to get a set of experiences and then get back to wherever. Most of the guys I worked with at General Mills were from Minnesota, so they're going back. They're going back to Minnesota, and then Shell. A lot of those guys were from Houston, so they're trying to get back down to Houston. So you don't really have that nucleus of people like you do from your hometown.
Oh, okay. Right.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's very rare in Northwest Arkansas to have a neighbor for 20 years.
I didn't even know who our neighbors were. I lived in 3 different houses up there. I take that back. I met one neighbor, and they were good folks, but they immediately moved after I met them.
Oh man!
So
they're like, there goes the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's like, what are you going to do at that point, right? But quite honestly, I didn't know who our neighbors were because it's just not that type of community like it is down here.
Right. Yeah. So you moved back here. I think now you've had more than just a couple kids, though, right?
I've got 4 kids under 7 and under.
Lord.
So it's a full house.
That's
so
a whirlwind.
bless my beautiful wife for all that she does.
Yeah, she's the rock star in your
I'm
family. If you didn't know, she is the rock star. You know, I was joking with Alan yesterday on the phone. I told him, I said, I get it all the time, because I have 6 kids, and everybody's like, well, you know what causes that? And I say, I sure do, and I enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah,
you better
that's
believe
exactly
it.
right. Yeah. No regrets whatsoever.
So now, having 4 under the age of 7, though, that's a little
lot.
tough.
It's a lot.
Yeah, because, I mean, mine range in age from 5 to 31.
Yeah.
And so that makes it a little different because the older ones can help keep an eye on the younger ones.
Yeah, that's right.
And so,
7-year-old can watch them little ones.
My oldest is getting to the point where she's like watching the baby, and so you can almost trust her a little bit, but you can trust her for about 2.5 minutes.
Oh, okay, just in
that's
little
it.
bits.
Then you got to do a pop in and check and make sure nothing crazy is going on. As long as you don't hear nothing break, and you get
or
that
they get too quiet
window.
because that's what I've found over the years of raising kids. When they're in the other room and they're too quiet, that's when you need to be scared.
That's when you've got lipstick on the walls, or somebody's got
paint on the carpet,
chocolate milk in the carpet.
Yes,
that's
so
when
you can
those
do
things
anything
happen.
you want for about 2.5-3 minutes. Then
that's right. As long as you got 2.5 minute window, and then as soon as that clock hits, you got to be back in there.
No.
All right, it's several segments that you got to go through there.
I'd forgotten about how that was. I had 3 a year and a half apart, twins and an older daughter. That were all within a year and a half.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we had Irish twins. Our first 2 were a year and a day apart. Oh
wow!
So
that's twins.
It was They are. It was a lot of fun. So their birthday's January 24th and then January 25th.
Oh wow!
The next year.
Yeah, and I have some cousins that way. 3 cousins. February 24th, 25th, 26th.
Oh, yeah. That's a busy birthday week, man. It is a busy birthday week.
Evidently, May was a good time around their house whenever there were a lot of conceptions going on.
Yeah, that's the whole spring thing.
Everybody, all of my kids, except for our 4th, it was born in September, but all of ours were January, March. I said, man, tax return season. That's what.
The key is to try to have them in December so that you get a whole year's worth of taxes off of just that one kid.
That's right. That's right. I'd say I wasn't smart enough to plan it out like that.
Well,
or enough forethought.
No, most men, we aren't thinking about that anyway.
Yeah, you're not worried about tax return time.
Yeah, that's not where we're going with most of the time. So, but one of the reasons that I asked Alan to join us today, Boomer, was we thought we had lost what I believed had become an institutional business here in town when Timberlane Meat Market closed. Mm-hmm. But then Alan and his partner Alex have purchased that, and now I remember seeing some. Matter of fact, I think I remember seeing y'all standing on a corner there at Robert E. Lee and Timberlane. Mm-hmm. Did y'all end up purchasing that property?
Yeah, so we own that corner lot. That's right there on.
That's a great location, by the way.
It's a we bought that lot from the Milam family when we bought the Timberlane Meat Market too, and the full intention is that we're going to build a new facility.
But currently, the Timberlane Meat Market is open.
It is.
And it's on West Hillsboro. What did we say the address? 1336?
1336 West Hillsboro. And for most people that don't do addresses like me, it's the old Huddle House building.
The old Huddle House, yeah. So. And so it's open. It's been open maybe, a month and a half now?
We're going into month number 2. So we opened up at the very end of May, last day or two in May, and then we've had the full month of June.
So, did you have any prior experience with the meat market?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. This all came to be from just luck, being at the right place at the right time. And, sometimes I think it's just things happen for the right reasons. Mm-hmm. People, the good Lord above looking out for people. And we when we went into, I guess I went into the meat market, it had been end of October, I believe. And at that point, the shelves were empty, which is not common for the meat market at that time of year, right? They're stocking up for Thanksgiving stuff and doing that. And so the shelves were empty. And I asked the store manager up front, Emily, at the time, I said, what's going on? Y'all getting a truck in or something? She's like, no, we're closing down. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute, hold on, time out. We're not doing that. That's not going to happen. And having no idea that any of this was going to happen at all. I said, well, who's the owner? And she told me it was the Milam family and gave me some contact information because I was genuinely interested in learning about it and what they were going to do with the business. And I picked up the phone and called. I guess I maybe have called Rodney, but Lisa is the one who actually reached out to me and had a conversation with me about it, and we kind of came to an agreement that we were going to buy the meat market, and this all happened in 2 days.
Oh wow!
I mean, it was lightning fast, and as soon as I walked out of the meat market after I talked to Emily, and she told me that we're going to close it down, I called Alex, who's my partner in a couple other businesses over in Magnolia that we run. I said, hey, I have no food experience whatsoever. I have none. I'm just, all my stuff's in financial analytics and kind of top level running businesses, right? Where Alex is much more hands-on in the trenches, right? Yeah, she's had a decade of running restaurants, or more than a decade at this point of running restaurants. And I called her and I said, hey, we need to look at this meat market. And it was funny because we're going through all these other businesses and kind of starting up some other stuff, and she goes, "Oh my God, you're not serious right now,
right now,
right at this moment, And but I guess say the Milam family has been wonderful. Obviously, they had John passed away unexpectedly,
tragically, yes,
and that's kind of where all this kind of happened. Is they, Lisa and Lynn and that whole nucleus of the Milam family kind of just had to figure out where to
step in. Yeah,
that's right. They had to figure out where to pick the pieces up at, and this was just one of ththose pieces that they said, look, we'd be willing to part ways with this thing and just clear some stuff up, and it was a perfect fit.
I go back because I've said this before. There are people that you lose in a community. You may never realize everything they had a hand in. Of course, one that Boomer and I talk about a lot was Bill Nolan, who was chairman of the board of Murphy Oil Corporation, but also owned the radio stations that we worked for.
Right.
And a lot of people never realized that without Bill Nolan, there would be no South Ark. Mm-hmm. Without Bill Nolan, there would have been no Medical Center of South Arkansas. There'd be no Health Works. Arkansas Power and Light, and that transfer over to Entergy, that made it much more efficient.
Four lanes from here to Little Rock.
That, yeah. And
he was instrumental in that.
Very instrumental in that.
Madison was in that.
Madison and Edwin Alderson especially.
And
that's
another
one.
How about the future?
The El Dorado Promise.
Yeah. El Dorado Promise.
El Dorado Promise. Of course, Bill being chairman of the board of Murphy, ultimately it was his decision. And as a matter of fact, if you ask Claiborne will say, when it was presented to me, I thought it's great, but I need to go ask Bill. And he said it was like a 5-second response.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
But Edwin Alderson, another one. Knox White, another one. But John Milam is another who I don't think people fully realize just everything that he kind of had a hand in to make Union County a better place to live, work, and play. And I say all that because I think also about Walter Tyson. I think about your dad and just what y'all as a family have accomplished out at PCI. And for those who are watching, you may remember we did a story at southarkansasnow.com a little while back that PCI won the Arkansas Business of the Year.
Yep.
And I liked your dad's acceptance speech. He was like, I was sitting here listening to Springdale and Fayetteville and Rogers getting called out, and he said,
Little Rock,
Little Rock. He
that's
said,
right.
He said, but down in South Arkansas, we're doing stuff too, and
we work hard too.
Yeah, and it was a great speech. And if you can just go into southarkansasnow.com and find that story, and there's a link to the video of his acceptance speech. But what happened there, and really at a time where, because COVID was going on, they were able to get their foot in the door with some places they had not been able to previously, and then just jumped in full faith and took off with it. And so there's always these people who are behind the scenes, but John Milam was definitely one of them.
Yeah, you don't realize the impact that those folks have. Like you said, I've got a small glimpse into everything that John Milam touched.
Yes.
And it's a lot.
It's a lot.
He had a positive impact on so many people in this community and so many lives.
Yeah.
And the Milam family in general just continues to have those positive impacts on people. And I can't say enough about Lisa and Lynn, and that those two are the two that I worked with the most during this whole process. Just amazing people to work with, amazing family. Opened up, their arms and just said, "Hey, look, let's make something work. We want this, we want this meat market to be here. We want these things just like you guys do. How can we help?" And they've done everything possible. I mean, they continue to ask us. It's been 8 months since we bought the business. They continue to ask us, how can we help? Is there anything that we can do to help you guys? And so they're just
come in and buy some meat.
That's it. I don't think I have to ask them about that. They're 100% bought in. I see Lisa at least once a week in there. So
you'll still stock their meat? Is that a part of it, or is it
no?
Not anymore?
They have a their herd is it's top tier.
It is.
John has done a phenomenal job raising the herd that he's got, and it's top tier. So they're in a whole different segment.
Stratosphere.
Yeah. I mean, they have a beautiful herd of beef. I mean, it's phenomenal. So we're not even close to those guys.
I shared with Alan yesterday when I was doing the barbecue circuit, the competition barbecue circuit, and you have to bring a brisket to cook at this one. I would always go to Timberlane and just say, "Hey, look, I don't need the straight over the counter brisket. I need a really, really good brisket to take." And oh man, it was like the challenge to those people behind the counter. Like, "Oh yeah, we'll have you one. We'll have you the best one we've got." And it made a lot of difference.
Yes, I mean the quality of the beef is the biggest. The quality of the meat in general. Obviously, we don't do beef, but beef is our primary focus, right? A lot of people come in and buy chicken, pork, all the different other stuff, and then we've got some ancillary stuff that we do. But beef is, a bulk of what we do, and I think it's a bulk of what everybody wants is good quality steaks, right? Good quality steaks, and I don't think a lot of people realize, but a lot of our burgers and stuff that we do. We blend in all of our steak trimmings.
Nice.
So every
burgers.
That's right. You'll see them on their ribeye burgers, steak burgers. They're really a blend of tenderloin, ribeye, sirloin, New York strips. I mean, all that stuff is blended into those burgers. So it's why when you cook our burgers, they don't shrink.
Yes,
that's because they're not full of that fatty beef, right? They are
tallow.
They're lean, but they have good fat in them, but they're also lean, and so they don't shrink like that.
Yeah,
and so they're top notch.
To me, if you want to know the difference, go to the store, whichever big box store you want to go to, and buy a pound of ground beef. Make you a patty. Then look at your hands.
Yes.
Yeah. Then go to a place like Timberlane, buy a pound of ground beef, make some patties, then look at your hands.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
big difference.
I've always been one of those that I can't hardly stand to touch the faucet to turn it on to wash my hands after making patties, because it just feels like I got to clean that too.
That grease on you.
And when you use a good high quality beef like that, and there's nothing on your hands, and they're not greasy, and you're like, wow, that's totally different. It is a big difference. And you talked about those ancillary things, which is some of what I've always shopped for the most, and those stuffed mushrooms, those stuffed mushrooms. Those pork chop stuff with boudin.
Yeah, boudin stuff, pork chops. Yeah.
That's always been one of my favorites there. So now I think also one of the things that surprised me, I found out basically by accident, and that was somebody said, hey, we're going to cater this lunch for you that I was having this meeting. We're going to cater this lunch for you. And then they brought us a lunch from Timberlane Meat Market. Yep. And I was like, oh, I guess I didn't realize. No, this was many years ago. But now I think you told me y'all have expanded your lunch menu, right?
Yeah, we're in the process of getting a new menu launched, I guess. But yeah, I mean, we're expanding the lunch menu. The thing is, all the stuff we make for the most part lunch-wise in-house, right? I mean, all of our burgers, all of our brisket is smoked in-house, all of our pulled pork is smoked in-house, right? We're doing most of that stuff there. And so we're finding different things that we can do to add from those same ingredients and add more to a lunch menu out of that same material, right? Out of that same beef, pork, and chicken. And there's just so many things that you can do. And a lot of that comes with Alexandra's background experience in the restaurant business, right? I mean, she's been doing this for, over a decade. And she's like, yeah, we need to do this and this and this and this. It's all gradual, obviously, and I'd ask everybody to be a little patient with us as we get a new menu launched. But for the most part, our lunches have been just off the wall, fantastic.
So currently, do y'all have indoor seating, or is it just pick up and go?
Yeah, it's just pick up and go right now. The building, to be honest, is not. It's not big enough. Really believe it or not, it's twice, 3 times the size of the old meat market, and it's still not big enough because we've expanded a lot of our offerings too, right? I mean, we're putting in, chips a full shelf of good, potato chips now that are Zapp's down in New Orleans. They're kettle cooked chips. I mean, they're premium quality stuff. We've got meat counter. We've got ice cream now in the facility that I think most people have found out about. I mean, we're using a local creamery out of Little Rock, Loblolly, that's doing all of our ice cream for us. So we have a dip counter, and we also have pints of ice cream.
Good.
We sold out in a day and a half on the first batch of pints that we brought in. People just came in, and it was like
cool.
that.
Well, I'll say this. I've had Loblolly ice cream, and there's a reason you sold out. I mean, it is. Now, it's not Bluebell.
It's not Bluebell.
It's not Bluebell.
And my wife will tell you that too. It's not Bluebell. But it's some of the best ice cream I've ever had.
And of course, like Boomer used to tell me, he'd say, "Hey, it's why they make Fords and Chevys, because not everybody likes the same thing." Yeah. Bluebell. I'm a Texan, so I mean, it's just
my wife's a Bluebell. She never lived in Texas one bit in her life, but she's a Bluebell person for some reason.
Back during COVID, I said I told someone. I said, y'all act like we've never been through a traumatic experience before. Don't y'all remember that 7 months without Bluebell?
Bluebell? When they shut that down.
You couldn't get it anywhere. You're selling it on the black market.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you got any Bluebell? Got any little cones? Got any little cones?
How about even on a stick or something?
Yeah.
So what's the lead time on building your new place, Alan? What are y'all looking at?
It varies. I mean, we're still in the early phases of a design for it, and now that we have a location, we're not as back in January before we had a location picked out, it was, we got to find a place. We got to
Sure.
go. We got to go.
Gotta
We got
get
to go.
going, yeah.
And now we're more or less trying to take a step back and say, look, this is a big deal, right? We're building a new facility. It's going to be on Timberlane. It's going to be on a high traffic location. Let's build this thing the right way. And we're wanting to not just put the meat market there. We're wanting to add some other things into it to build out a spot for people to come, right? We want to have more than just the meat market there. The meat market's going to drive traffic, no question.
A destination.
Yes, we want it to be something that people go to for more than just, hey, I'm going to go get my meat, right? And that's going to incorporate a couple different things, but we haven't finalized that yet, so I don't know if I'm really able to share any additional details at that point, Ryan.
Just tell us the secret stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody listens to this podcast. No. Obviously, I've known Alex probably ever since I moved to El Dorado. She was a kid when I moved here, and of course, when I was on the board of directors at the country club, she was probably our most valued employee there at the time. And of course, anytime we would go to Magnolia, we would stop and eat at her place over there. And so I've have full faith in her abilities. And like I said, your goal, I mean, your view is more of a 30,000 foot view.
Yep.
And she's that in the trenches. Now, Emily, who was manager at the market, y'all kept Emily, right?
Yes. Yeah, we kept quite a few people at the meat market. We actually kept Emily, Whitney, and Jawan, who were all three the butchers on staff at the meat market. So the guys that were cutting your beef, it's the same folks.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because to me it would seem to me it's almost like undertakers. Where do you find one? It's not like you just run a help wanted ad.
It's hard.
When it comes to butchers, you really need someone who knows what they're doing.
Yes. Yeah. It's hard to find guys with that level of experience, but also just the certification to understand, how to get to each cut of beef, right? Because all of our stuff comes in primal, right? So it's all brought in the loin loaves essentially, and we process everything in house. Right now, we don't get full carcasses brought in, but we pretty much get everything after the carcass brought in. And then we process it all in-house. So when we get ribeyes, those ribeyes are cut to two specific sizes, but we get a whole ribeye loin, and we're processing it there. Same thing with the fillets and the tenderloins and things like that. So all that stuff comes in primal, and then we're going from there.
I was on the board of directors of a company that one of the things that they owned was a restaurant, and so as the board of directors, we were in charge of hiring a new chef at this place. And I could tell you that just those interviews showed you a vast difference in chefs. Well, one of the chefs, the reason that was the one the board ended up choosing, he started his career as a butcher. And the first promise he made was our costs on meat would go way down, because he was going to be buying half carcasses and doing the butchering himself. And sure enough, I mean, within just a couple of months, we saw our food cost plummet. I mean, really, because instead of just buying a pack of ribeyes that were already sliced and ready to go, he was buying whole rib. We're getting a half of a carcass and making his own ribeyes out of it, and all, made his own hamburger meat, all the things that go along. But if you have a butcher who's not as well versed, then what happens is they're very inefficient, and
it's a lot of waste.
A lot of waste. That's right.
Yeah, and waste in a restaurant it's never a good thing.
No, never good. Never good.
So can you come in and still go buy a whole rack of ribs? I mean of ribeyes. You can just buy the whole thing.
Sure, you can buy the ribeye loin. You can buy a whole tenderloin if you want to. We can process it there and trim it up how you want, or we can just give you that whole loin, and you can take it home and take it yourself.
That's great. Now, also, I think you and I were talking about specialty items like specific crab meats and things like that. You can get those as well.
Yeah, I mean, we can pretty much get whatever the customer base is wanting, we can get access to it. We've had several people ask us about having a counter for fish, right? Like having fresh fish, and we can do that. It's just, fresh fish, it goes bad quicker than beef does, and so it's
not like you can make that into burgers if it doesn't sell right away.
Right. You can't blend that back into something. I guess right now in my feeble little mind, I can't. But I'm sure that there are ways to do it. But it's just there are ways to do things, and we can certainly access even better, higher quality beef. I mean, if guys are wanting prime beef, if they legitimately want prime beef, we can get prime beef. Mm-hmm. All we have to do is just bring it in.
Yeah. Call it up and order it.
Yeah, I mean, we can get access to it, and it's top tier prime beef. All of our beef is really good.
Can you get some rattlesnake in?
Alligator, you can get.
I've got alligator bites. We had somebody come in and ask for alligator, and we've got alligator strips, I think, now that we're offering.
Had those before. Yeah, I bought them there before.
Yeah. Yeah. We've gotten those, but yeah, I mean, rattlesnake we could probably look for, but I don't know.
I don't want any. I'm just I'm just trying to think of odd meats.
Stirring the pot, right?
Yeah. a turducken.
How about one of them little lizards?
My kids asked me the other day, they were watching a TV show and they were talking about a turducken, and they're like, "What is a turducken?" I said, "Nothing you'll ever see in person. I promise you."
Yeah. You don't want to know.
Yeah. Well, man, we really do wish you the best of luck. I think it's an exciting venture. One, to save us from losing what again I believe was an institutional business here in town, and two, with the future prospect of opening that other location. So we wish you the best of luck, man. We hope that we can help you be successful.
Well, yeah, we certainly appreciate it. Alexandra and I have been blessed to have some really good opportunities come our way in a short amount of time, and we figured out ways to jump on them, and this was one of them. And it was almost like you said, I mean, it's an institution, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's part of El Dorado's lifeblood is the Timberlane Meat Market, and for us to have the opportunity to even consider buying it and keeping it open was never even in our minds in 2024, and then all of a sudden it was boom, it happened, right? And then we're the proud new owners of a meat market, and what do we do now? What do we, like the old Ricky Bobby? What do we do with our hands?
Yeah, Ricky Bobby. So most opportunities come along in a given short period of time, and you have to follow the Lord's lead, like you indicated y'all did, right. And some things are just laid out for us. Sandy says I've lived an enchanted life because some things have been laid out for me. But most wealth is built in a short period of time, and then it's built upon by y'all trying to build, like you said, build out. Yeah. So thank y'all for doing that, Alan. Good to meet you.
We sure do appreciate it. And it's good to meet you as well.
Yeah. All right. We appreciate you. And again, don't hold against him, Boomer and I. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we have more of Off the Back Porch right after this.
Did you know that if your home air conditioning unit is already running and you turn the thermostat down to try to make it cooler in the house, you could be doing more harm than good? This is why you call Dyson Service Company, the experts of home comfort solutions. That's another way of saying Dyson Service Company helps make your home a place of comfort and relaxation. Call Dyson Service Company today, 862-0409.
Grammy Award-winning Train, live. August 27th, the Mad Amphitheater in El Dorado, Arkansas. Train, with special guest Edwin McCain. On sale now at eldomad.com. Presented by Save Me San Francisco Wine Company.
Hey, welcome back for more of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer. And Boomer, what a great visit we had with Alan Tyson.
Exactly, man. Very nice young man.
Absolutely, great guy, and comes from a great group family. I mean, good people. Yeah. So, hey, I had this story I wanted to share with you. This one comes out of Atlanta, Georgia, and just the details of the story were enough to make me say, we may want to hold on to that and use that on the show. So again, coming out of Atlanta, Georgia, a Georgia man on the run from alleged mob threats managed to live undetected for nearly 7 weeks inside Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, blending in by pretending to work at Auntie Anne's pretzel kiosk.
Yeah, the vest and the hat, the whole thing, you think?
38-year-old Randy Molinari, a freelance poker dealer, told
You didn't
us
say that right. Say his name right.
Molinari.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Randy Molinari.
You know, Randy.
Yeah, Randy. You know, we did everything we could do. There was nothing we could do.
There was nothing else. God rest his soul.
Yeah. May you rest in peace. So, he told authorities he feared for his life after a private high-stakes card game went sideways in New Jersey. He claimed he overheard plans to collect on a debt the old-fashioned way.
Okay.
Not knowing if that was meant towards him as the dealer or not, Molinari flew to Atlanta using his real name but never left the airport. Instead, he reportedly found an unattended utility closet near Terminal B food court and began living there, using a rotation of restrooms to wash up and surviving on complimentary samples, leftover pretzels, and the occasion stolen Chick-fil-A sauce packet. You know, if you'll freeze them, they taste like a popsicle. The disguise came courtesy of discarded Auntie Anne's hat and polo shirt left behind by an employee who, according to management, had quit mid-shift throwing the items in a trash can. So he's just sitting there thinking, what am I going to do? And this guy's like, that's it, I quit. And he throws his polo and his hat in that trash can. He's like, let me run.
I'm fixing to be an employee.
Yeah, he gets it. Quote, it's actually kind of impressive, unquote, said airport employee Jeremy Lowe. Quote, he'd stand behind the counter twisting dough and yelling out orders like, 1 jalapeno twist, hold the salt. And people thought he was new or training.
The people that worked there just
thought he was new.
And there was a manager never figured it out.
Never figured it out.
Oh, dear Lord.
Co-workers did eventually become suspicious when they realized no one had ever officially trained him or added him to the schedule. One employee recalled that Randy refused to operate the cash register. He's like,
nope,
not touching the cash register.
Nope.
When asked why he chose to impersonate a pretzel worker, Molinari said, they're always busy. Nobody asks questions. And honestly, I love the smell.
Yeah. Pretzels, that's it.
He also admitted the plan wasn't fully thought through. Quote, I figured the mob wouldn't think to look for me behind a counter yelling, would you like extra mustard with that?
Hey, he figured they were serious if he was willing to live in a closet.
47 days. That's nearly 7 weeks.
It is. 7 times 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
No mob-related threats have been confirmed by police, and Molinari's claims are still being investigated. However, a representative from Auntie Anne's issued a statement acknowledging the incident and noting that, quote, while we cannot condone impersonation, Mr. Molinari demonstrated remarkable dedication to customer service. So he was a good employee.
He just wanted to stay alive.
Especially the fact that we didn't pay him.
He got paid with his life.
Yeah. You want to get paid? You get to live again today.
But the great thing about that story is the officials never heard any story from the mob.
Right.
They were going to put that out and call AP News. You know?
Yeah.
We was looking for the guy. Where is he?
Yeah.
No.
Do you happen to know where he is right now?
Yeah.
Right now? Yeah. We just want to talk to him. That's all.
Yeah.
We just have a conversation.
We like pretzels.
So, matter of fact, Big Mickey will be back in a minute. I sent him for some pretzels just a little bit ago.
Yeah.
If you don't see him, maybe he's working at Auntie Anne's down there.
Big Petey, Little Petey. One of them guys maybe know.
There's Tommy, Little Tony, Tony 2 times.
Yeah.
Love all those mob names, by the way.
Yeah. We're aficionados of mob movies.
Yeah,
too.
now that's me. I love mob movies.
Yeah.
And so your favorite mob movie is?
Well, Godfathers, is that? But there's some of them that are just great. You think I'm funny?
Funny how? Yeah, Goodfellas.
Goodfellas is got a lot of hilarity in it.
So number one for me would be Godfather 2.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me would be Goodfellas, then followed by Godfather 1, then probably Casino.
Yeah, Casino's good.
Good, man. Anything with Bobby D in it, it's going to be good. And except it's political commentary, it's not very entertaining to me.
Which is the one where the guy wound up with a dead horse head in his?
That's Godfather 1.
That's 1, isn't it?
Yeah, that's 1. And
that was Mo Green, wasn't it?
No, Mo Green was the one who got shot through the eye.
Okay, who had the head horse head?
That was a movie producer from L.A. named Waltz.
And he tried to kind of like act like he was.
So what happened there was The Godfather had a godson named Johnny Fontaine. Who many say was based on Frank Sinatra. Loosely based on Frank Sinatra. Johnny Fontaine was losing his voice, so he couldn't sing anymore. and he had gone into movies, into acting. And they were going to have this war film, and he wanted the lead role, and it was perfect for him.
Yeah.
And so The Godfather told his consigliere, Tom Hagen, go out there, talk to this producer, and tell him he gives Johnny Fontane this part. We'll make sure he doesn't have some union troubles that are coming up, and he's got an actor under contract that just moved up from marijuana to cocaine. We'll make sure he gets cleaned up,
But the producer didn't think that was a good idea.
No, the producer, as a matter of fact, he said, his exact words, he said, Johnny Fontane never gets that part. He said, because it's perfect for him. It'll make him a big star. Yeah. And I plan to run him out of the business. And then, of course, he explained why. Because Johnny Fontane had bedded someone the producer was in love with. And I know why you held your hand up. He said, because then here comes Johnny Fontane.
Don't say what he said.
With his olive oil voice and charm.
Yeah, he used a
derogatory term to identify Italians. Yeah. And but anyway, so that's where that. And now, The Godfather, the book, is even better.
I never read the book.
I haven't either, but I listened to it.
Okay.
That's my thing. I listen to books.
Okay.
I have a lot of windshield time, so I listen to a lot of books. Matter of fact, my little app that I listen to them tells me every year how many books I listen to. And for the last 2 years, I listen to about 152, 53 books per year. Yeah, so about 2 or 3 a week.
Where are you driving to? Everywhere?
Well, I mean, even if I'm not driving.
Oh.
But
you're making good use of your time instead of just scrolling.
Right. If I'm sitting at my desk and doing some work of some sort, if I'm designing an ad or whatever, or editing video, I have most time have a book.
I thought the 9-year-old edited video.
No, she does not. I need to teach her how.
No, she's a writer.
Yeah, she's a writer though. She's one of our writers. So she didn't write anything for this week. But Casino is the one that starts off with. And of course, it's a Scorsese film, so you have to pay attention. Are you watching it in reverse or are you watching it straight forward? Yeah. Because that's Scorsese, you never know. But it starts off with Robert De Niro's character, Ace Rothstein, gets blown up in his car. And that's how the movie starts. And then it backs up
to
from there. Yeah. And of course, my oldest, who is very fluent in Spanish, and so like her senior year, they were required to do a monologue. They didn't have to write the monologue, but they were required to do a monologue in Spanish, and it had to be X amount of time. So at the very beginning of the movie Goodfellas, Henry Hill, who the movie's based on, Henry Hill starts off with, as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. And then he goes into this long monologue. It's about 5 or 6 minute monologue of why he wanted to be a gangster. And so that's what she did. She did that monologue in Spanish for her Spanish class.
Well, how cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
But also think it's cool that my kids like mob movies.
Yeah.
And Sopranos, of course. I mean,
yeah,
the Sopranos were great. Just every time I get a Jones for something with the Sopranos, something else comes along that helps me feed that need. I found the podcast and so for those of you who are familiar with the Sopranos, Michael Imperioli played the part of Christopher Moltisanti, which was Tony's nephew. He called him Uncle Tony, but really he was a cousin by marriage. But anyway, so Michael Imperioli, who played Christopher Moltisanti, and then Bobby Bacalari, who was kind of Uncle Junior's right-hand guy, they do a podcast called Talking Sopranos.
I've seen that.
And they go through every episode, and they line by line, word by word, and explain kind of what was going on. And that's really good. And they're funny. They're really funny.
You know what? One thing I found so interesting in I noticed little stupid things like this is the way Tony Soprano ate. The way he stirred his food. It was purely he went down to he was purely Italian, the way he ate his food even.
Well, and, of course, James Gandolfini was Italian. I have yet to hear any actor ever say that he was difficult to work with. As a matter of fact, all I have ever read or heard or seen in interviews are they were like, he was the absolute best. There are people who ended up becoming full-time actors on The Sopranos, for example, who were only supposed to be there for one scene or one episode. And he would say, hey, listen, kid, I like you. Come here, let's practice. I'll practice with you. You can really stand out. and then I'll go to bat for you, and I'll get you, maybe you can get a recurring role. And so there were a lot of people on The Sopranos who, I say a lot, a number, maybe half a dozen or more, who were never meant to be full-time characters. Artie Bucco, who had the restaurant Vesuvio's, was never meant to be a full-time character. Adriana, Christopher's girlfriend, who ended up dying tragically, we believe, she was never meant to be a full-time character. But he worked with them and got them, recurring roles. So everyone talked about what a great guy he was. He, in real life, so on the show, he's loud, he's brash, and very authoritative. And in real life, he's very soft-spoken, had the lisp.
Yeah.
And he had to get over that lisp. And I just always thought that was so cool that he was that diverse of an actor.
Yeah.
And the first thing I remember seeing him in was a movie with Robert Redford called The Castle. And basically, he was the warden. He was the warden of a prison. Redford was a prisoner, and
I think I have seen
Redford
that.
basically
helped him run the prison.
Well, no, Redford came up with a revolt. It was a military prison, and he came up with an idea of how to revolt, and that's how they. And it was a great movie, but that was like in the early to mid '90s, and then next thing you know, he comes out in The Sopranos in like 97, 98, whatever it was, and so great. But
what a great name for a strip joint too, the Bada Bing.
The Bada Bing, yeah, and of course that real. The real place where it was, I can't remember the name of it, but, it's on the, you can go on a Sopranos tour. You can go to New Jersey and pay, and they'll take you on a tour of all the places that you saw in the movie. Satrielli's, the pork market, the meat market there. They would go, that's part of the tour. Vesuvio's restaurant, the house that the Sopranos lived in, Uncle Junior's house, Tony's mother's house. All. So, I mean, I'm probably never going to do it.
Yeah.
It's not a bucket list item for me, but it's up there.
It would be cool.
Yeah, it is definitely up there. I have you have bucket list items?
I still do, but, probably won't get to do some of them.
Yeah.
Just because of age and distances and things like that.
I've had a couple things that I've been able, that were bucket list items to me, that I've accomplished. I had dinner with Rush Limbaugh. That was probably at the top.
Apex.
Yeah, that was probably at the top of my bucket list. Because, again, you remember Boomer and I were in the radio industry, and no matter what you thought of his politics, that guy was the pinnacle of success. No one had, even Paul Harvey didn't have as many listeners.
He drove
as Rush did.
He nationalized it, yeah.
And so, got to have dinner with Rush. He was everything I hoped he would be. He was gracious. He was humble, very, very smart, spent a lot of time listening. Now, you remember Rush was deaf. And so he had a cochlear implant, and there was a guy that would stand behind him and whisper into it. That guy, you would repeat what you said, kind of like a translator. And but Rush was great. He was fantastic. Again, everything you hoped he would be. I got to sit in the dugout with the Astros. That's another one. Met some childhood heroes over the years. I don't have a lot of other bucket list items. I mean, just. There's things that if it happens, that's cool. And maybe I would look back and say, that was a bucket list item, but I want to live long enough to walk my kids down the aisle.
Yeah, stuff like that.
That's the kind of stuff. My youngest daughter is 9, and I want to live long enough to walk her down the aisle. That's kind of my bucket list.
Well, that may be 12, 15 years, man. You can do that.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Eat right and
take care of myself, say my prayers, raw meat and gunpowder sunshine. That's what I'm going to have. But this guy, I thought the mob was after him. And like the mob's never going to confirm that, So we reached out to spokesman, little Petey Stoliveri, who said,
he's the consigliere.
Yeah. He said, never heard of him. Don't know who he is.
Pretzels? We don't need pretzels.
No, some good gabagool. Yeah.
Maybe so.
The manicotti? Yeah. The baked
pretzels.
The baked ziti with the little cauliflowers? Yeah. But pretzels, that's not our thing.
Not so much.
Yes. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we have more of Off the Back Porch right after this.
People will call it a number of things. Kisses from the clouds, revenge from Mother Nature, or just a little cosmetic damage. But the truth of the matter is, it's hail damage, and it severely affects the value of your car. And if you don't get it fixed, and have an accident later, you could be looking at a lot of out-of-pocket expense from your insurance for pre-existing damage. If you have hail damage, get to Cook's Body Shop. Cook's Body Shop has highly trained experts at paintless dent repair who can make your vehicle look good again. When it happens, look to Cook's, 118 Rowell Street in El Dorado.
Everybody loves a parade, and Hilarious Pizza throws parades all week long. Bring the family in for your favorites, or explore the variety that Hilarious Pizza offers. Come join us at Hilarious Pizza for the greatest parade ever.
Welcome back for more of Off the Back Porch here from beautiful downtown El Dorado, Arkansas at Main Street Pizza.
Where the locals come to eat.
It is.
Yeah.
And today, besides Boomer's Peanuts, we also had some delicious cheese sticks.
You know, I said no, but then I said yes.
Yeah, Boomer told me, he said, I don't want anything. I'm not hungry.
Yeah, but then I was.
And then he said, pass them cheese sticks.
Yeah. Help a brother.
Can you make some of them available down here?
Help a brother out.
So, Boomer, I have our favorite game, Drunk, High, or Stupid.
All right, here we go.
All right, here it goes. It was a quiet Tuesday morning, as a matter of fact, this past Tuesday.
Okay.
In Cedar Ridge, Oregon, the kind of town where nothing ever happens unless a raccoon gets into the Dollar General again. That changed around 10:47 a.m. when a man rolled up to the local Taco Bell drive-thru on a riding lawnmower, shirtless, wearing pajama pants. Witnesses say he patiently waited in line behind two cars, and then when he got to the speaker box, things got interesting.
Okay.
Welcome to Taco Bell. Can I take your order? There was a long pause. Then very confidently, the man shouted, yes, I would like a reverse crunch wrap. The employee said, you mean a Crunch Wrap Supreme? No, the man replied. I want it reversed, inside out. Wrap the wrap around the crunch.
Okay.
Which, isn't that how they're made? The crunch is on the inside anyway, isn't it? Okay, just want to be sure. After a bit of back and forth, he settled on whatever has the most triangles in it. He wanted food with triangles.
Okay.
Pulled up to the window where he tried to pay with an obvious handmade coupon for free Taco Bell food. That's what the coupon said. Free Taco Bell food.
Scribbled on a piece of paper.
Which reminds me of a thing we did on the radio one time. We convinced a listener that if they would come and get this coupon from us at the radio station and take it to the store and make it work, we would pay them $96.10.
Yeah.
And
that was on
Mix 96. Yeah, right when we launched. And the coupon was for bag o' grapes.
I remember that.
And so this lady, and I don't
we
remember.
all stood in there and listened.
I don't remember who it was, but she had to get, the rules were this. She had to come get the coupon and an employee to take with her. That employee stayed on the phone with us so we could hear. And she could not, under any circumstances, reveal to them that this was a radio gig. This was a radio prank or whatever.
Gag or whatever.
Yeah, gag. And so they go to the local Brookshire's on Northwest Avenue. And she gets a bag of grapes and goes up to the cash register and presents this coupon that we made ourselves with crayons, obviously handmade and homemade, that says free bag o' grapes.
O' grapes.
And the cashier's like, this isn't a real coupon. And she's like, oh, yes, ma'am, it is. And so finally they call the produce manager over there, and this woman's begging, please take that coupon and let me have this bag of grapes, please. And finally, the produce manager said, let her have the bag of grapes. You know? So she walks out of there with a bag of grapes and wins $96.10. So
she goes back and pays for the grapes. No.
She gave him a coupon.
Give him a coupon.
Had a coupon. So, anyway, he had a handmade coupon for free Taco Bell food. When told his form of payment wasn't accepted, he reportedly nodded solemnly and said, that's fine. Reached into a satchel made of duct tape, pulled out a small plastic dinosaur, placed it gently on the windowsill of the drive-thru, said, it is done, and rode off.
Oh, my Lord.
Now, Taco Bell employees laughed about it. They didn't call the police or anything, right?
No.
But a sheriff's department car spotted the mower.
It wasn't a mower.
Lawnmower, yeah. He was on a lawnmower.
Oh, I thought you meant the man.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was riding a mower. He's not a mower.
No, he's not. They spotted him on the lawnmower. Deputy Samantha Sparks initiated a traffic stop. Honestly, she said, I thought he was just getting home from filling up with gas, but he looked lost. So I really thought I was just going to guide him to a less busy street, and that would be that. The man turned around and made a zero with one hand when she hit her lights. I don't know what that means.
Man, this is not drunk hire stupid.
He made a zero with one hand, pushed his mower to its utmost speed. He turned down a bike trail, and Deputy Sparks drove down the road where the trail exited. With her patrol car sitting back and lights off, she waited, and when he came to the end of the trail, she grabbed him and pulled him off the lawnmower.
Yeah.
41-year-old Carl Nasinski was subdued easily and began screaming he was a time traveler and that she was affecting history.
No kidding.
Yeah.
She was experiencing the warp.
Now listen to what he said. This is from the deputy. She said, yeah, he said something about President Barron Trump.
Barron?
Yeah.
Oh.
In the future was trying to have him killed and that his death would change American foreign policy towards Israel forever. And I needed to let him go so he could martyr himself, save America and President Barron Trump from the Zionists.
Oh, dear Lord.
As of press time, Mr. Nasinski is still being held pending a psychiatric evaluation.
Yeah, think?
So, Boomer, here's the question. Is he drunk, high, or stupid?
He's stupid. And he's high.
Yeah, I think there's got to be some kind of
salts.
There's something. There is some type of pharmaceutical involved.
When you think you're affecting the time-space continuum, you are not in the real time space.
Now, what's going to happen here in a decade or two
when
Barron Trump's president
and this guy shows up? Or he's in the news because he martyred himself.
Yeah, he martyrs himself.
We'll recant the story. How about that?
Yeah. We'll come right here and we'll recant.
Right here at Main Street Beats.
Yeah, we'll recant the story right here. So, Boomer, here we go. Florida man.
Yeah.
And this is a good one. St. Petersburg, Florida. A Florida man was arrested late Monday night after allegedly attacking a vending machine inside a laundromat, claiming the machine was possessed by a demon.
Okay.
Witnesses say 39-year-old Trevor Lansky entered the Suds and Such 24-hour laundromat around 11:15, placed his laundry into a dryer.
Okay.
Dry laundry, but he put it in the dryer.
Okay. Laundry to be done in the dryer.
In the dryer. Then spent nearly 20 minutes having what appeared to be a heated argument with a glass front vending machine stocked with chips, candy bars, and bottled soda. One onlooker said, I thought maybe he was just mad about the prices, said fellow laundromat goer Tanya Reese. But then he started yelling, show your true form, vile beast. And smacked the machine with a Bible.
Oh, okay. He's going to exercise. Little exorcism going on.
According to police, Lansky believed the vending machine was channeling dark forces. And responding officer Brian Hentley said, he said it whispered, consume or be consumed.
Oh, man.
Let's see. Lansky then reportedly tried to exorcise the evil by sprinkling Mountain Dew on the coin slot, slapping it repeatedly with his flip-flops and a Bible, demanding the machine reveal its true form. After that failed, he grabbed a nearby metal mop handle and shattered the glass panel, declaring, I banish thee, snack off the betrayer.
Snack off.
Snack off.
Oh, my Lord.
Police arrived minutes later to find Lansky attempting to burn a bag of Skittles in the parking lot, in the words of Lansky, to close the portal.
Yeah. So he believed that there was a evil portal that was demonic possession of this vending machine at the Dog and Suds or whatever. Suds and
Such. Yeah. Laundromat.
So he had to sprinkle
Mountain
Dew on the coin slot, and then he bashed in the window to free the Skittles or
whatever. Yeah. He was taken into custody after a minor skirmish with officers and is facing charges of criminal mischief, destruction of property, and resisting arrest.
And dumbassery.
Yeah, definitely that. When asked if he had been drinking, Lansky said no, but said he had eaten some expired moon pies.
No, but I did have some.
And claimed that those might have accidentally opened a portal.
So if you got all this going on in your mind, what's going to possess you to check the expiration date on a moon pie? Oh, my Lord.
Maybe, you know what I'm thinking? Maybe he got to feeling weird and strange and hearing voices and said, something's not right. And went and got that moon pie thing out of the trash.
Oh, no.
And said, oh, those were expired. I mean, it has nothing to do with, you snorted 6 lines of that crap that killed Elvis. It has nothing to do with that.
Oh, man. Florida man.
You smoked a bath bomb. I mean, that has nothing to do with it.
It's made to eat snot or rub on your belly.
According to police, there were no injuries, and the vending machine has been removed for repairs and possible spiritual cleansing. Local authorities say there is no evidence of demonic activity.
You think? There's some demonic activity going on, but it isn't with that machine.
No.
It's not with the vending machine.
No, not with the vending machine.
You know, in the Bible, the guy's running around in the
graveyard.
In the graveyard. That's this guy.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
We are legion, for we are many.
Yeah, I still don't like when I hear that in movies and stuff. There's a movie with Nicolas Cage where he's like a ghost hunter or a demon hunter or something. And he comes up on this one guy, and the guy's all morphing, and there's flames, and there's heads popping up, and he's like, "What's your name?" And he says, "My name is Legion, for we are many." I was like,
Goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I'm white, but I'm not that white.
Yeah, I'm not that white.
So, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how you can accidentally be married.
Okay.
So
right.
That's coming up with more of Off the Back Porch right after this. Hey, welcome back for more of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer. Glad to have you here with us. And if you stuck around this far, you really are a glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
Boomer, this story to me is the one that just, I'm like, how does this even happen? The headline is what caught me. Texas man recently made shocking discovery that he somehow became married to a woman he had broke up with.
Okay.
Yeah. So the story goes, imagine breaking up with someone only to find out the next day you are legally married to them, even though you never attended the marriage ceremony. The bizarre experience of a Texas man who claims he was married to his ex-fiancée without his knowledge. 42-year-old man whose identity has not been revealed admitted to having been in a committed relationship with 36-year-old Kristen Marie Spearman and visiting the Cass County Clerk's office to get a marriage license. Now, Cass County, Texas, that would be around the Atlanta, Texas area.
Okay.
Linden, that area.
Okay. Close.
Wesley, yeah. So not that far from Texarkana. They did go and get a marriage license. However, the pair never made it to the altar. They got into an argument, and the man told Spearman he did not want to be in a relationship with her, but his ex-fiancée had other plans. Just days after breaking up with his girlfriend, the 42-year-old man received a gift bag from Bath & Body Works, which contained some products, as well as congratulating him and his Mrs. Spearman's recent nuptials. According to Texas law, a couple must show up in person and have valid identification to receive an application for a marriage license. However,
which they did, didn't they?
Yeah, Miss Spearman allegedly managed to get a local pastor to certify the marriage, even though the groom wasn't in attendance. She then took a certified marriage license to her local county clerk's office and filed the certificate with officials. Quote, I don't think in 23 years I've ever heard of anyone who managed to somehow get married to someone who wasn't present for the ceremony, said Police Chief Corey Martin, telling Fox 44 News. Adding the victim is now coming to terms with the situation and exploring options on how to fix it.
So she convinced a pastor to certify that they were married.
Yes.
And took it to the courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Why did she want to be married so bad to this guy? I didn't say that in the story.
You know, hey, you talk about dodging a bullet. Whew, he
No
dodged
kidding.
one.
No kidding. Talk about cray-cray.
The police chief said, I've talked to the victim and he's going through a significant process to try to fix this, Martin said. What does this mean for his personal safety and his personal property? You know, that's a huge conversation, but also, what does he have to do to fix it? Meanwhile, Spearman has been arrested and charged with third-degree felony stalking. I was wondering, is there a charge? Is there something you can charge her with?
Third degree
felony stalking.
It's a felony.
Yeah, so that's jail time.
That's the least of his worries.
Listen,
He needs to move out of the Atlanta area.
Out of the Atlanta, Texas area.
Change his name.
Mm-hmm. Because if she finds him again, he's not going to be so lucky the next time. The next time it's going to be like that movie Misery.
Boiling rabbits or breaking ankles or whatever.
Typewriter between the legs.
Yeah.
You know? So,
no.
I mean, he
needs to move out in West Texas somewhere. Like Big Bend area.
Yeah.
Up in them hills and
stuff.
stuff.
Don't come here. We got all the crazy we can handle right now.
Yeah, we got crazy here. But most every place has crazy.
Yeah, they do. And if you don't have crazy, you invite Boomer and I there. We'll find it.
Well, because we can get on the hot crazy scale and we can see those. And she was most likely on the top of the scale where you avoid at all costs.
You know, Boomer, I'm thinking if they have video of her at like a store or something, you and I may be in the background. Because these are the kind of people we interact with.
I'm telling you, they show up. All you got to do is just come here.
Yeah. Before we go, I thought we'd talk about a little bit of what's going on around the area.
Yeah.
And depending on when you watch this could have already happened.
Yeah.
But coming up this Friday, July the 4th, there's the Ice Cream Social that's going to be going on at the Newton House.
Yeah.
And then following that, Friday night is the Boom is back.
The Boom is back out at the fairgrounds.
Yep, going to be out at the fairgrounds. The 4th of July fireworks extravaganza is going to be back. Also coming up later this month on Thursday, July the 31st, it's going to be Micah Hughes and the Ouachita Revival Band. They're going to be at Madhouse 101. And I've seen them.
A lot of groups come to Madhouse 101.
Yeah, a lot and I've seen them, and they are fabulous. They are a lot of fun. Let's see, also coming up, El Dorado Missionary Baptist Church Youth is having their Youth Revival Monday, August the 4th at 5 p.m. Youth Revival 2025, and that's at El Dorado Missionary Baptist Church, 3014 East Main Street in El Dorado.
The Avett brothers are coming back at the end of the month, aren't they also?
They are. Also coming up later in September, actually, is the Mad Hatters dueling pianos.
Yeah.
They're going to be at the Madhouse. Going on in Magnolia is Sparks in the Park.
Yeah.
That's there.
They're having theirs, and theirs starts on Thursday night.
Starts on Thursday night.
Yes.
Later this year, we have Trey Johnson, who's going to be at Madhouse 101. And then coming up Tuesday, July 15th, the Chamber of Commerce is having their business after hours at Gabe's Cave and DP's Food Truck Park on College Avenue.
You ever been over there? That's close to where you live.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. A lot of good stuff. And for collectors and all those things that Gabe's, that's just part of the culture of South Arkansas.
So I went to church with him and his family for years, and just remembering when he was a little bitty kid. And I remember when he started his YouTube channel years and years and years ago, and he was just unboxing stuff that he was collecting.
Yeah.
And
explaining it,
showing it, and so it's turned into something awesome for him, and again, very cool. And I can't imagine a lot of people who haven't been to DP's Food Truck Park.
Yeah,
because
there's some good food there.
Well, it's packed every time I'm there.
They got a place to sit down. You can come and stay and eat.
That's right. And so, anyways, that's all going to be going on the business after hours on July the 15th. And then there's some other stuff coming up later in the year that we'll talk about when that happens. And of course, as you mentioned later this month, we have the Avett brothers. Also, we have Jason D. Williams, who's going to be at the Madhouse Saturday, July the 12th.
Okay.
And that's going to be fun.
That's right around the corner.
Yeah, that's right around the corner. And then coming up in August at the Mad Amphitheater is Train with special guest Edwin McCain. And, of course, if you say, well, I don't know Train.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, you do.
Just come and you'll hear the songs.
You'll hear the songs. You'll know.
And that happened to me. Martha and I went to the last time Train was here. And I wasn't familiar with them, but it was 90s music. And I said, oh, well, I remember all those songs. Yeah, so you'll like them.
But doesn't remember when he walked in the room for.
Yeah. Well, everything kind of resets when you go through that door,
Yeah, I know the same thing. Earlier today, I was walking through the house, and I'm looking. And 9-year-old, she says, Daddy, what are you looking for? I said,
I'll figure it out in a minute.
I said, it's a pair of shorts. I washed them yesterday, and I thought I laid them right here. And she was like, did you put them away? Well, maybe. I go look in my drawer. Nope, they're not in there. So I'm still walking around, and she comes walking up to me with them. And I was like, where were they? She said, in the dryer. So I remember washing them. I remember them getting washed and dry, but that was as far as it went. Well, that's going to do it for us this week, and we want to say a special thanks to Alan Tyson for stopping by and talking about what's going on over at Timberlane Meat Market. And I'm excited. I think that's going to be great. Especially the fact that they're building a new facility.
And if you need them right now, they're at the Old Huddle House.
The Old Huddle House on Hillsboro. And so go by and check that out. Boomer, until next week.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you all for being with us. God bless.